Welcome back to the Who's Yanks. We talk everything Canada soccer and U.S. soccer. Tonight we're going to be talking about the USMNT's World Cup qualifying roster and the players they have called up. And this video is going to be it is being a little late because this qualifying roster is actually released yesterday and not today. But I'm doing a video on it today for mainly two reasons. One, of course, still being busy with classes and school. So obviously, I can't get it immediately out to you guys, but I'm doing the best I can to get it as soon as possible. And then two, of course, you've got, I've thought that they were going to, at least typically when the U.S. releases their roster, Canada releases theirs too, but I guess that Canada, until they release theirs, we're just going to be talking about the U.S. I can't speak, U.S. roster until they do so. And I think maybe Canada will release one, but I'm not sure, because at this point, even for Canada, we pretty much know all the players we're gonna call it up, but even though we probably do, they still typically put something out, but maybe it's on its way. Maybe they're just gonna do it on like the 24th or whatever, when it gets really really close to that first game. So unless Canada's just posted something as I'm speaking. I'm guessing that we all just assume that they're going to be the same players. So, unfortunately, I won't be able to do the Canadian video like right after this one. It looks like we'll just be working with the U.S. But either way, it's still something for you guys. So, without further ado, here is the USMNT 2022 January window World Cup qualifying roster and the players they've called in. By the way, reminders: they have 2 home games and 1 away game. 1 home against El Salvador, January 27th. And then January 30th, they have Canada versus USA, of course, in Hamilton up here. And then finally, they go back to Minnesota where they play Honduras, and that's on February 2nd. So, good games coming up, and it's interesting. Let's see the kind of players they called up. So, goalkeepers, we have Sean Johnson, Gabriel Salonia, once again, sorry for mispronouncing these names, Gabriel Slonia, and rumor has it that he's about to make a big name trade or transfer to another club. Other clubs got eyes on him. And Zach Steffen, of course, and then Matt Turner recently. By the way, Arsenal and other clubs have shown really deep interest in him. And rumor has it that the amount of interest that Arsenal and these clubs are showing are really, really hard for New England Revolution to turn down. So there is a good, strong chance that Matt Turner could be making a European move very, very soon. And that's just good for the overall player pool for the USMNT. I know New England Revolution fans are not going to be pleased, especially, given how they're about to play in the CONCACAF Champions League in another month or so. So I'm pretty sure they're going to still want him around for that. But, I don't know. Arsenal, you got other teams in the Premier League, even elsewhere in Europe, that are really just calling his name and really showing the amount of money that they're willing to lay down and get him. So this is a tough one for the New England Revolution, honestly, and any U.S. soccer fan. Do you want to see him make the trade to Europe now, or would you rather see him stay for a little bit, at least for try and earn New England a chance of winning or getting far in the CONCACAF Champions League, or would you just rather go ahead and get him started in Europe and go ahead and keep developing? So this is a tough decision, and I'm curious to see in the coming weeks or even months what happens. For me, honestly, you can't go wrong with Europe. It's always said that's where the best. That's where the best talent and best soccer is, right? So if you go there, you're really going to get developed. But at the same time, for New England, this will be a key loss, as Matt Turner's really stood on his head for the New England Revolution in terms of playing keeper. So this will be a key loss, and it really sting if they were to make the trade now. So it's going to be interesting to see what the New England Revolution do. And either way, but he's going to Europe, and he's not like he's going to any other kind of lower leagues, it's good. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. He gets developed for the national team and for his own sake, but at the same time, New England Revolution, you're losing a standout guy, for the keeper especially. And he was part of mainly along with Tejan Buchanan, the reason why New England Revolution had such a good season last year. And to lose him, they already lost Tejan Buchanan going to Belgium, and now they might lose Matt Turner to Arsenal or whoever. I mean, that's 2 key losses from 2 key players that gave you everything. So the New England Revolution may very well look like a different team. If they lose Matt Turner too. They've already lost Buchanan. So this 2022 season for a U.S. Open Cup, MLS regular season, Champions League, CONCACAF, it's all going to be really, really interesting to watch. And I mean, the former supporter Steelers, they're losing a lot of players. They're sending them to Europe, and that's good. But at the same time, for the club, it's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back and really find players who can fill these shoes of big players. So that's interesting for in terms of Matt Turner's case. And so, by the way, wonderful story for him. If you don't know, I think he originally started off as a baseball player. Soccer was not his first sport, and over time he began to like it and really just grew into the sport. And here he is. I mean, he really made a name for himself on the U.S. national team for the Gold Cup and the New England Revolution, and now look at him possibly about to go to Europe. And Matt Turner's just, to me, he's if not the biggest, he's definitely one of the biggest success stories, just ever in soccer and sport, just for the U.S. in general too as well. But yeah, great story from Matt Turner. On to the defenders. We have Reggie Cannon, Serginho Dest, Brooks Lennon, Mark McKenzie, Chris Richards, Anthony Robinson, Miles Robinson, DeAndre Yedlin, and Walker Zimmerman. Pretty much a good mix of domestic and international based players, as this was basically the goal given from the press conference of Greg Berhalter. He wanted a good mix, he wanted some variety. He didn't want all European or all domestic. Instead, he wanted to mix them both. That way, get great experience for all players. So, interesting pick there. Although obviously, as you're probably gonna find out, a lot of people are not pleased with the names he caught up, saying that he could have done better. Like, for instance, Daryl DK. Many people were surprised to see him left off the list. Josh Sargent, who just scored 2 goals for Norwich City. By the way, if you haven't seen that first goal he scored, I can't spoil it, but you need to go check that out. I mean, oh my gosh, what a way to score your first goal in Europe, or if not Europe, for that team, what a way to make a statement. And that just really, really highlights, where American soccer is going and just the amount of potential that these players have. So that's just really exciting. But in terms of defenders, getting back on track, I mean, you've got your general names here. Of course, great to see Serginho Dest back after being injured for a while. He was probably back, I think, against Mexico, but now he is here, if I wasn't sure before. Got a couple young guys, Chris Richards, actually any other names that we haven't really seen? Not really. I mean, just Chris Richards for me is the only guy that's young and really hasn't had that a lot of playing time. I think he's played 6 out of 10, 6-0. So looks like it's 6 games and no goals. I mean, he's a defender, but I mean, yeah, given how Serginho Dest scored 2 goals in 15 games, they just got it the other way around. But yeah, Chris Richards, obviously, he's gonna hopefully see some more playing time. And by the way, at the end, you're gonna get to see my version of first and second team for the U.S., who I would put on the field for this window, and as well as even for a taxi squad. If you want to alternate. But yeah, you guys will feel free to critique that if you want. So I'll be showing you at the end, but I don't want to keep dragging this out. But for the most part, for the defenders, only player for me that stands out is Chris Richards. He's young. Everyone else I've pretty much seen before. Maybe Brooks Lennon for Atlanta United. He also haven't seen that much playing time either. One out of he's only had 1 appearance. Of course, no goals. But maybe those two will be able to see some playing time in this window. But we got to find out. Other than that, it's your general go-to guys for Greg Berhalter, and even then, if they're not go-to, they're the best or some of the best defenders that we have. So on to the midfielders, we have Kellen Acosta, Tyler Adams, Luca De La Torre, who is obviously one of those players that I would like to see get more playing time, Sebastian Lletget, Weston McKennie, Giannis Musa, and Christian Rodon. Of course, you got Greg Berhalter's a couple go-to players. You got Kellen Acosta being called up. You got Christian Rodon being called up. Sebastian Lletget. And those are obviously his three go-to guys that he always typically calls in every single camp, no matter what the competition is. And I mean, I'm fine with that as long as they just get better, and if they can just hold their standard. So, as long as they're not going to bring the team down, obviously. But as I said, Luca De La Tour here stands out for me. He's still one of these like Chris Richards. He's young, still trying to get playing time, and really still trying to find his way in and where he fits into this USMNT squad base. So he just like Chris Richards. I would like to see him get more playing time, probably in this window, depending on the game. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see what Greg Barger does with him. But other than that, you got your generic players. I said your go-to guys. Tyler Adams, glad to see him back. I think he was injured. He was obviously a key role for the USA. Glad to see him back in the mix, as well as Musa, Giannis Musa. I'm always glad to see him in this name. Every time I see his name in this list, it always puts a big smile on my face because this guy's got potential. And as you probably have already seen, I mean, he's that quick. I don't know how you describe it, but he's that quick guy who can always weave in and out of things, and it's just really fun to watch for me. Because the USMNT we haven't seen a lot of just that skill or just that skillful kind of player, or if they haven't been that much as Giannis. So I'm glad to see Giannis in here. He's always an exciting player to watch. But other than that, just Luca De La Torre is the only one that stands out for me in that one. And then finally, we go to our forwards. We have Brendan Harrison, Paul Arriola, Jesus Ferreira, Jordan Morris, Ricardo Pepi, Christian Pulisic, Tim Weah, and Josh Zardes. Go-to guys are Zardes. We have Morris. By the way, Morris is really, really happy to see him back. Of course, as I said, covering from the ACL tear. Now, the one person on that note that I'm surprised to see not make this list is Aaron Long. And maybe he had something else. Maybe he had other priorities with the Seattle Sounders. Or not Seattle Sounders, but the Red Bulls maybe for New York. But I'm not sure why he didn't make this one as a defender, because I would love to see him come back. But, Greg Barger only called up to, I think, 27 players. I think if he would have called up more, Aaron Long probably would have made this list. But I think he only wanted to play one of the players that tore their ACL. And in this case, it looks like it's going to be Jordan Morris if he gets some playing time. And as I said, success story. Glad to see him. I don't know if he's going to be back to normal, his old Seattle Sounders self, or his Swansea self, when he was at Swansea for that short period of time. But either way, I'm just happy to see him back in the mix and in the lineup. Paul Arriola, of course, the go-to guy for Greg Barger. He's going to be with Zardes. Jesus Ferreira, he's young, and he's also still trying to find himself. Kind of like when Ricardo Pepi found himself in. I know Ricardo Pepi has kind of trailed off a little bit, but hopefully he'll bounce back. But Paul Arriola, maybe he can get some stuff going too. But him and Jesus Ferreira, maybe they can find themselves in this window. Brendan Harrison along that line too. Brendan Harrison scored a couple goals earlier in 2021 and just kind of trailed off. He scored against Canada. That was his kind of last goal that I remember. Maybe he scored before, after that. But other than that, Brendan Harrison was kind of got a little bit, played a little bit under what we all wanted to. And he's having a lull right now. A lot of these strikers I know are having a lull, except for Pulisic. Pulisic scored, but a lot of these players are having a lull. Maybe they can find their feet back again and really get things going. So we just have to keep an eye out for that. But that basically lists all the names for the list. Now I'm going to go to basically my first and second squads. I'm going to show you guys who I picked, for to represent the main squad, who I would put out, and as well as the second squad. And you guys feel free to obviously critique it, tell me who you would substitute instead. And without that, let's just dive right into this. So in keeper, I have Matt Turner. Matt Turner obviously being the brick wall. Go back to that Gold Cup game where he said, we got a live look at Matt Turner, and it's literally just staring at a brick wall. So I would obviously put Matt Turner over Zach Steffen in this one, because Matt Turner also he's been playing a lot. Zach Steffen, I know he came in last window and pretty well against Mexico. Actually shut them out, but Matt Turner in this case has looked really on prime. And I'm saying, if you can stick with him, I'll say that's pretty great. But we'll see what Rick Brohalter does. But if I was him, I would play Matt Turner in this case for the main squad. And then for your left back, you got Serginho Dest. Yeah, you have to do it. He's dynamic. Can't really go on this. I kind of don't want to spend a lot of time on this because it's going to make the video too long. So I'm just going to list off who I have. So yeah, Serginho Dest is the left back. I mean, you guys tell me if you agree or disagree. Then we go to Walker Zimmerman on the center back. And then Anthony, or is it Miles Robinson, it looks like, on the center back. And then we have Reggie Cannon on the right back. That's for your defense. Then I would play for the midfield Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, and Giannis Musa. That's my three. I would put a mid. And then up top, Christian Pulisic, Weah, and Ricardo Pepi. That's what I would put as my main squad. You guys feel free to tell me in the comments if you agree with that or not, or what you would do instead. And then finally, I'm going to hurry this up. Second squad or taxi squad, any kind of squad you want to name it, I would play Zach Steffen then. So maybe you can alternate this squad and the other squad between games. Anthony Robinson at left back, Mark McKenzie there at center back, Chris Richards, it looks like I have, and then DeAndre Yedlin here. So yeah, I said Anthony Robinson, not right. Okay, good. But DeAndre Yedlin, that's what I play as my defenders. Then we go to my center mids, who I play as a second. Of course, they're all going to be Greg Berhalter's go-to guys. Sebastian Lletget, Kellen Acosta, and Christian Rodon. I think Greg Berhalter will pretty much agree with me on that one. And then finally up top, Jordan Morris, Jesus Ferreira, and Brendan Harrison. So the second squad is basically a lot of Greg Berhalter's go-to guys that he would pick in this one. I mean, obviously there's some in the main squad too, but for the second one, I can definitely see Greg Berhalter going with that. And I don't know, given how Greg Berhalter is always unpredictable, he could put that as the main squad and put the other guy, the taxi squad, against Canada. So he could probably be able to do that and save some player for tougher games. So you just got to keep an eye out for that and see what he does. But for that one, I'm going to end it there. I don't want to drag it too long, longer than it needs to be. So I'm going to do it there. If you like this video, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Tell it with all your friends. Also tell all your friends the U.S. is getting ready to try and lock their spot for Qatar 2022 and enter the World Cup and really make up for lost times in 2018.